already won, and I'll tell you why it's won, because people went on the ground and they put fear into the hearts of these legislators. That's why everyone here should be praising each other and getting excited, because we've unleashed a revolutionary movement starting in New Jersey. And that's what the people of New Jersey do, right? We're not about political correctness. We're about saying things as they are. That's how I grew up in the working class towns here, and that's who we are. And the rest of this country is going to learn from New Jersey. They're going to learn how you fight, right? You don't kowtow to legislators. Some people are going around telling people, be nice to legislators. Well, they don't know what they're talking about. The way we build a ferocious movement is by the people, for the people. If the legislators want to follow, great. But we're not going to lead. We're not going to be led by them. Is that clear? We don't let them lead us, because they serve us, not the other way around. So if people say be nice to legislators, look what Vin Gopal did.
Yeah, and we were nice.
He sold us out, right? He's the one who supported this amendment. So what I want to do is I want to give you some context here. First of all, when you look at what's going on in this state or Massachusetts where I currently live, there's one thing that's common. The infrastructure is decaying, right? I think New Jersey has one of the worst public train systems. Massachusetts has the third worst infrastructure. You know what's also common is they're totally corrupt. These politicians are corrupt and they have horrible infrastructure. There's a direct correlation between bad infrastructure and corruption, all right? And they have become so corrupt, they can't solve the infrastructure problems. They can't solve it, guys. So what do? They divert it to fake problems and fake solutions. Because ultimately, how did we actually get public health in this country? How did we get it? Let's go back to the late 1800s and the 1900s. You know what we had? Massive workers' movements. The American working class took to the streets. They built massive movements that people in history class don't want you to remember. It was massive workers' movements in the late 1800s and the 1900s, which demanded elimination of child labor, right? Sewage, hygiene, all of those things are why the rates of death fell from 14 out of 100,000 down to 1 out of 200,000. You know those graphs, right? That massive advances in mortality was not because of medical interventions. It was because of the American working class, like everyone here, who took to the streets and they demanded public infrastructure, public education, public health, eliminating child labor, vitamin A, all those things. That's what occurred during the late 1800s and the early 1900s. And if you look at that history, American workers were shot in Chicago in the Haymarket riots. And that was declared as May Day in America. I don't know if you guys knew that. International Workers' Day started here in America. And when Reagan came and he changed it to Law Day. And so if you look back at the history of this country in the 1800s, 1900s, up until the 1930s, the American working class movement was explosively growing. And that's when we had all the amazing gains in public infrastructure, which supported public health. 1950 and 1960, when the polio vaccine and the measles vaccine came, was far later. It was minuscule what those things did. But we've been told that Jonas Salk, we should bow down to him, that we should bow down to modern medicine, that it made those gains. That's absolutely false. The actual gains were made by people like you and me on the streets, period. That's where all the gains in public health came. And that history got forgotten, buried, and when the McCarthy era started, they branded that as all those people as quote-unquote communists. They weren't. They were American people who fought for our rights that we have today. That's what actually took place. And since that point in history, what we've seen is the establishment over there and the corrupt politicians have been trying to destroy people's movements. You get it? They want us to bow down to legislatures, not to the people. Because they know that when we bring arms together, when we bind ourselves as a people, that's how things change. That's a revolutionary movement. And they don't want that. They're so scared that we will not listen to legislators that will build a movement. And I'm telling you, that's how any gains came in this country. People's movements. You see what I'm saying? It's people's revolutionary movements is how we got any gain we wanted. So what do you have today? You have massive corruption at every level. The roads can't be built. There's crumbling infrastructure. And by the way, that crumbling infrastructure destroys public health. In the United States, it takes 10 years to build a bridge. Did you know that? 10 years. China does it in 2 years. Canada does it in 2 years. Germany does it in 2 years. Because of those corrupt guys over there, they're all on the take. Okay? So bridges decay, it affects the water supply. So we don't have clean air, clean water, clean food. Thank you, Monsanto. Monsanto, by the way, supports vaccinations. Monsanto supports all sorts of things which seem good, but they dirty the water, they dirty the air, and they dirty our food. And those politicians support that. So when you look at the infrastructure, I don't just mean crumbling bridges. Let's also look at, when it comes to truth, we've destroyed the educational system, we've destroyed the academic system. There's no real science done anymore. It's called scientific consensus, right? And then you have guys like Sweeney telling us the science is settled and that we should listen to his brother. It's bullshit. The reality is that his brother knows nothing about the immune system. If you see the videos that we've been putting out, the immune system is a system, okay? It's not just you stick something in and you get the antibodies and everything's done. The reality is that we have a complex system, the adaptive immune system, the interferon system, the innate immune system, the microbiome, the gut-brain axis. This is a system. And I'm sorry, the MDs and the pediatricians, great people, but they do not understand systems. Engineers understand systems. Plumbers understand systems. Nurses understand systems. Electricians understand systems. Working people understand systems. MDs and pediatricians do not understand systems. They are trained on looking at a simple problem and getting a patient in and out the door. Right? They don't understand systems, but we understand systems. So when you look at it, the entire scientific establishment, by and large, most of it has now practices, as I said last time, the oldest profession in the world. Right? It's all about getting grants, and getting grants. So we don't really, so that infrastructure is decayed. Let's talk about freedom. Google and Facebook control everything you guys put out there, right? How many of you seen your vaccine posts being taken down? Suddenly disappearing, right? Shadow banning. So you have two major U.S. corporations who control freedom in this country. And there is another organization called the United States Postal Service, which I'll talk about more. They were supposed to ensure communications between you and I. I don't know if you know this. They were the stalwarts of the First Amendment. It wasn't simply sending letters. Well, they haven't been doing their job. They should be providing a digital infrastructure for us to communicate, right? Facebook equivalent, YouTube equivalent, email equivalent. So we don't have any more public comments in the digital world anymore. All of us can be shut down thanks to these politicians, the same guys who allowed this to go on. And then when you come down to the health infrastructure, big pharma, big hospitals, big insurance, are run by two major organizations called GPOs and PBMs who control the supply of all medicines, and they crank up the cost by trillions of dollars. And that's what's actually going on. And these corrupt politicians over here are never going to solve that because they need corruption to survive. You see what I'm saying? The system's broken, guys. And that's why what's occurred here is such a victory, because we started to build a movement. It doesn't matter what they do. You follow what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what they do. It matters what we do, and what we do, that's how we'll win. If they're going to do anything, it's going to be about how loud we are, how many people come out here, and how we build a movement. And we recognize that they are so corrupt, they're not going to be able to solve the infrastructure issues in this country. They can't. So what do? They create fake problems. Fake problem number one. Don't solve the public infrastructure issue. Tell people that they need to get vaccinations. Right? Mandatory vaccinations, fill it with fake science, and then act that you're helping the people. Oh, we're helping public health. It's total nonsense. What they cannot do is they can't really solve the public health issue. They can't make sure we all get organic food. They can't make sure we all get access to proper clean water, clean food. By the way, Sweeney, in his own town, has one of the worst toxic water problems. I don't know if you know this, West Deptford, New Jersey. Look it up. The environmental working group said his town and his water in his own town is one of the worst waters. So instead of solving that problem, they PR it. They get all their amazing Madison Avenue media people to say, we're solving public health. And this is what they do on every issue. They never apply the real science. They use fake science. And from fake science, they create a fake problem. And from a fake problem, they create a fake solution. And at the end of the day, they have all of us paying more tax dollars, and they constrain our freedom. You see what I'm saying? Yes. This is a system they've created. Choke freedom, right? No scientific method. From choking freedom, you never do real science, so you can't get at the truth. And when you can't get at the truth, you can never identify the real problem and a real solution. So at the end of the day, we all become less healthier, and we're not strong enough to be warriors to fight for freedom. You see, it's a cycle, okay? Destroy freedom, you don't get truth. Destroy truth, you don't get health. And without health, we're all weaklings to fight. But the problem is, everyone here, as I said last time, is freaking healthy. I see a lot of healthy people here. You know, I really do. Everyone here has figured out how to take care of their health. We want to take care of our own bodies. We want to figure out what to put inside for ourselves and our children. Independent of the state, independent of big pharma, independent of big insurance, and that is a revolution that we must never give up on, ever. And anyone who tries to tell you, again, I repeat, that we should concede our power and bow down to legislators, Republicans and Democrats. Look, there may be some nice guys out there, but that's not where the power is. The power is from you and you and you and you and we. We can never forget that. We the people. We the people. We the people. Truth, freedom, and health. Thank you. What's the program today? Back there? Okay, everyone back there. Thank you.